Victor Wembanyama makes his case that why he should be the NBA MVP. Is he right? Is he wrong? Let's take a look at that. And also a look at tonight's Spurs-Grizzlies game. Welcome back to Spurs in Focus right here on YouTube as well as on iTunes, Spotify, Pocket Cast. The list goes on and on. Make sure you subscribe right now. Thank you for making Spurs in Focus your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. Seriously, it should be your first listen each and every day. Mentioned Substack. Yeah, I see it on your screen there. You want to go to Spurs in Focus on Substack. That's spursinfocus.substack.com. Go sign up right now. It's completely free. Sign up, get the articles, plus this episode and so many more episodes of Spurs in Focus. Again, we appreciate that as well. What are we talking about today? We're going to be putting Wembanyama in focus. After the Spurs win versus Miami, he was asked post-game why he should be the NBA MVP. He listed 3 reasons. Is he right? Is he wrong? Are there other factors to consider if Wemby's going to be carrying that award at the end of the season? And also, we're going to preview tonight's Spurs-Grizzlies game. Hopefully, the Spurs get a little measure of revenge. The last time the Spurs and Grizzlies met, they lost to Memphis. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. It's going to bring in our guest. He is back, everybody, for a midweek show. Mr. Rudy Campos of the Sports Answer. He's on X at Box Score Studio. Rudy, welcome back.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me on Spurs in Focus, man. It feels like I'm going to be on like every other day, right?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. Because I also got a feeling that this show may also go on air on the Sports Answer as well, perhaps.
Yeah, we're looking to broadcast it on the Sports Answer as well as Iron Refocus Radio on YouTube, Box Score Studio on YouTube. So, yeah, you're going to get a lot more eyes for Spurs in Focus.
Nice. Can't wait for that to happen. So keep an eye on that as well, everybody. All right, Rudy, let's go and dive into it. Mr. Wembanyama, he was asked after the Spurs win over the Heat why he should be the NBA MVP. And he gave us 3 reasons. Let's take a listen to what he had to say, courtesy of the Spurs.
3 arguments. My first one would be that defense is 50% of the game and that it is undervalued so far in the MVP race because I believe I'm the most impactful player defensively in the league. Second argument would be that we almost swept OKC in the season and we dominated them 3 times with their real team and 4 times with more rotation players. And my third argument would be that offense impact is not just.
Well, there you have it, Mr. Wembanyama there laid out his 3 reasons why. In a nutshell, they beat the OKC Thunder. He's a defensive impact player, and offense is not just the only thing to consider. Rudy, you heard what Victor had to say. Your reaction to that?
Victor is 100% right on that, only because if they listened to the Sports Answer this past weekend, I talked about this exactly, how Victor is the most dominant 2-way player in the game, and that was notably Kawhi Leonard for a long time. With his injuries, he's not in the MVP race right now. The most valuable player is a player that can get it done on both sides of the court, offensively, defensively. Ideally, and let's just, not, I guess jinx it, but Victor's going to be your defensive player of the year. That's the award that goes in his carpet right there. The offensive player of the year award, Shai is scoring out the wazoo, but you've also got Luka, who's on a scoring barrage. You've got Nikola Jokic, who is averaging a triple-double again. So Victor is in a bigger group and a bigger category when it comes to offensively, but to have a player like him who, he's right. On the offensive side, he's a focal point of the San Antonio Spurs. He goes as far as the team goes as far as he goes, basically. But it also shows that he can make impacts even on the offensive side of the game that people don't realize. And that's, he may not score 29, 28 a game, but it's those 14, 15 points that he scores. Why? Right. Because they are double teaming him. He's freed up his teammates for open jump shots. He is the most complete player in the league right now on both ends of the court. That's a very big case for Wemby right there.
Yeah, he definitely laid out 3 solid points why he should be the MVP. And look, first of all, obviously he's going to say that he should. He's a competitor. That's what he should be saying. It would be worse for him to be up there and say, nah, Luka's got it. Nah, Cade Cunningham, he's got it. That ain't going to happen. Also, too, there's a financial side of it, too. If he does net the NBA MVP, it'll help him in that Supermax deal that's looming for the Spurs. So there's that as well. So that's a really good financial encouragement there for Victor to get it. But I think there's other factors you got to consider. One, and I'm not trying to push back on Victor. I'm just trying to lay out something that could hurt him once the voting begins. The Spurs have proven they can win without him, that they don't really necessarily need him, obviously not for an extended period of time, but in the short term, the Spurs have proven they can beat teams and even top tier teams without Victor. That could be a factor when they're trying to sift through the reasons and why, who should get it, whether it be Wemby or SGA or Joker, whoever it is. The other thing too is, how do I say this? It's like, do you think the fact that maybe he not defers and says that he can't take over a game, but because he has so many weapons around him that makes his life easier and his ability to make more spectacular plays, be more of a defensive impact guy, be more impactful on the offensive end. Again, I'm not trying to rain the parade here. Yes, I want Victor to win, but I'm trying to look at arguments why maybe.
Yeah, argument wise, I'm gonna kind of go 50-50 with you. On the second argument, I'm gonna go to that because you gotta look at it both ways. OKC with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, he has players around him that make life easy for him as well. So I think that kind of thought process, it kind of goes both ways for both players. I mean, Victor has great players around him. SGA has great players around him. Chet was an all-star. Jalen Williams is an all-star. So, I mean, both guys have all-stars surrounding them. But the very first part you were saying, it's kind of weird that you brought that up because that was another mention that I brought up this past weekend was the fact that they've been able to win and stay very competitive, go on winning streaks without Victor Wembanyama. But you look at OKC when there isn't no SGA before Jared McCain, they struggled. After Jared McCain, OKC still was kind of gliding along without SGA. But pre-Jared McCain, SGA proved why he was the most valuable player on that team. You took Victor out in the same time period, and the Spurs were still winning. So that could be a knock and maybe what voters do look at. But at the end of the day, it's the most valuable player. Both guys are very important to their team, but Victor plays both ways, which I think gives him the small edge.
Yeah. Again, we don't have to go through the stats. Everybody, y'all know what he averages points-wise, rebound-wise, block-wise, leads the league. Okay, we know statistically what he can do. All right, there's no doubt about it. He's an impactful player. But at the same time, the Spurs are not the best team in the West. They don't have the best record. It's SGA's OKC team that's above the Spurs currently. Number one in the West, one of the best records, if not the best record in the NBA. Also, too, I think collectively, the team, OKC versus Spurs, the OKC has a better plus minus than San Antonio. I think the plus minus for OKC is double figures. The Spurs is like hovering right nearing double figures, but not there yet. How much of a factor is that the only way perhaps Victor to seal it is to beat the Thunder and get that 1 seed?
I believe when it comes to the voters, that is the biggest obstacle standing in Victor's way is getting that number 1 seed. And, I me, I like to take the Spurs hat off and I keep everything real. I'm going to look at it like this too. Yes, SGA and the Thunder have the best record in the league for the second year in a row. He got MVP last year. Obviously that all still stands. I think writers are going to see, hey, not only can the Spurs get to number 1, can they get within a game of OKC? I think a game and a half kind of pushes Victor a little bit more, but you got to look at a bigger picture, Jeff. OKC just kind of hums along. It's the exact same team, but look at the turnaround Victor's had with San Antonio and this roster. Now it's a more improved roster. It's a better coaching staff. I think the turnaround has some effect when it comes to media voting. And let's not overlook this right here. When we look at all the media outlets right now, there's only one name being mentioned for MVP in all the major markets, and that is Victor Wembanyama. So the media is already taking notice. You don't hear much about SGA. So it kind of makes me feel like the record stance may not be that important this year, only because of the turnaround the Spurs have had this season.
Yeah, we'll see how the season ends. I think it's only like about 10-ish games left in the regular season before it gets going. So I think in these last 10 games, Victor's going to have to continue doing what he's doing right now, just wrecking shop right now. And the good thing about it, strength of schedule, the Spurs have one of the easiest schedules in the NBA, so that should help his cause and his campaign to get the MVP. Look, making it very clear right now, I do want to see Victor win it. I think he deserves it, but I really believe Rudy, I think it's down to really SGA versus Wemby. I don't think Cade is out, obviously, because
Cade's out.
Yeah, he's out. Luka, I don't know, maybe. I mean, then again, the Lakers dropped a game against the Pistons without Cade, so that didn't help. Joker, I don't know. I mean, they're kind of a middle of the pack team right now. He's not leading them to one of the best records in the West, let alone the NBA. I mean, they're arguing with falling out of home court advantage right now.
Yeah.
So there's that. So I really believe it's just down to say Gilgeous and Wemby. And I know you said along with the Spurs / Wemby close that gap. And I think for me, what's going to seal it, I think the Spurs led by Wemby have to overtake the Thunder. I think that's probably the way he can seal it.
I would say that's 100% sealed deal job right there. That would be the only guarantee.
Yeah. But closing the gap, I think some more votes go his way, but I don't know if it's enough because Shai is just wrecking shop. I mean, averaging 30 points per game consistently.
But what more does he do? That's my question, and that's the thing. Yeah. It's like he averages 30. He's on the best team. He's got a really good assembled roster. So I mean, hand in hand, you can also throw in the season series. I mean, the Spurs have dominated the Thunder.
Victor brought that up, yeah.
And that could be another point that sways voters and to say, well, OKC is the best team in the league. San Antonio's right on their heels. But when we look head to head, how good has Victor been against OKC? How good has Shai been against, San Antonio? Also the win. San Antonio obviously has the season series on it. So a lot of factors in this voting can go different ways. But if you're focusing on the most valuable player, that is the best player in the league, NBA wise, I made a case. Records should kind of be thrown out the window if it's this close when it comes to records. 2.5, 3-game lead is not a lot, especially when you've got one team that has yet to lose more than 2 games in a row this season. So
good point.
I think a lot of factors for San Antonio and Victor are on his side. So hopefully this is the season the records are kind of thrown out the window and they look at a true player who's been dominating on both sides of the court.
I love how Victor came out and was just blunt about it. Oh, you want 3 reasons? Here are my 3 reasons. 1, 2, 3. And there were compelling arguments. So I like that swagger he has. I like the message that it sends to the league and the other MVP candidates. Like, hey, look what all I can do. I can play offense and defense. I don't know if it was a shot towards SGA or Luka, but there's that. He can score just like the best of them with Luka and SGA and Joker and Cade if he had been healthy still. So he makes a compelling argument. He's more impactful as an MVP than most of the rest of the field right now, except for SGA. That is the big thorn on the side right now, because if you want to go MVP, who's really valuable for the team, then maybe it's SGA, because we saw the Thunder struggle without him. With Victor, the Spurs still were heads above the water. They weren't drowning. They were winning.
And you can make a case for Joker, and I'm going to throw this out there. Yeah. If you look at all 3 guys, I think Joker is the most valuable to his team, because without Joker, they're not even probably playoff bound. They're play-in bound maybe. But the one thing I talked about with Joker was that you couldn't blame him for the record. He's been without Aaron Gordon for so long. Jamal Murray's been in and out of the lineup. Even Joker has missed a significant amount of games where he was almost disqualified from any type of award this year. So if you look at stat-wise, Nikola Jokic has the best stats of the 3. Complete player-wise, Victor Wembanyama is a complete player. If you are a new guy, new generation player where you love scoring, then of course SGA is the man. So it's going to be fun to see what the media does.
It really is. And right now, momentum is on Victor's side right now. Because if you look at just the team overall, I mean, they're just putting up ungodly numbers right now. I got this little note here. I want to read it here before we switch to the preview tonight. The Spurs, I got it right here. This is just crazy. Not only are on their 6-game winning streak right now as they play Memphis tonight, they've won 11 of the last 12 games. And since February 1, they've won 22 of their last 24 games. And of course, the perfect month, February 11-0. I mean, Victor was a big reason of that. He is a big reason for that. So there's that factor in his favor.
Let me ask you this question, I guess, before we transition to Memphis here. Let me ask you this. So you've got, I think it's 11 games left on the season. Mm-hmm. And out of these 11 games, if the Spurs can go 11-0, 10-1, and still be behind OKC, close out the season not losing more than 3 games in this entire span, you've got to give him at least a little bit more of a nudge instead of saying you have to take over OKC. Taking over OKC is 100%, but what gets it to 90-95 for you? What if they go 10-1 these last 11? What if they go 11-0? I mean, how does that make you feel on that?
Oh, it makes me feel that his chances are a lot stronger versus SGA, because let's be honest, that's what the race is coming down to, really. It's just them two guys. And, oh, man, I think that's a compelling argument again. I mean, if Victor was back on the stage, we'd go, oh, can I add a fourth? It'd be, we made a serious push to close out the season. Look at our record I just mentioned right now. And I was a big part of that. Overall, Rudy, I like this. I like how he just came out and said, I really, really do. It makes me, just as a fan, you as a fan, just say, hey, you know what? That competitive spirit is still there in the NBA. Yeah. How long ago was it, the buddies, we're going to team up together, Mr. Nice Guy. And I was going to say that Victor's not nice, but again, I like the competitive side of him that, he should be the NBA MVP. Rudy, I got a prediction. I think it's going to be one of the closest votes in recent history. What do you think?
I believe so. I'm gonna throw this out there. It's kind of crazy, but I agree with you. It's going to be a very close vote. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't shock me if Shai got it. It wouldn't really shock me if Victor got it. What would shock me and would maybe even be kind of appeasing, do we possibly get co-MVPs this year?
Oh, no, don't say that. No.
I mean, no. I that's why I said I hate to say that, but I mean, both guys, if you want to put it on paper, both guys have been extremely studly this year. I mean,
they have been.
You almost would say, okay, I'm okay with it, but I want to say you're right. This is going to be the closest MVP race we've seen in a while. Wouldn't shock me if Victor, wouldn't shock me if Shai got it. I think both of those guys are 1 and 2 right now. There's really nobody else that's going to even be remotely close in this voting. So
not at all.
I would say worst case scenario, Victor doesn't win it. Best case scenario, he wins it. But an ideal, unlikely scenario that may happen is we get co-MVPs.
Man, don't say that. That just sucked the fun out of everything.
But how would it be if both teams? Go ahead.
Exactly. You remember. I would love it for just one of those guys to win, and then so if they do meet up in the playoffs, then is there extra luxury incentive there? Kind of a la Olajuwon and Robinson. Yeah, Olajuwon was ticked. He was pissed off that he did not get the nod and David went. And then that was fuel for Dream to have the series that he did. By the way, everybody, just a quick moment in history here. Go back and look at the stats. David did damage to Olajuwon, all right? As much as y'all think that he wrecked that Olajuwon, that Dream destroyed him. And look, he had that great game, and we all saw it. But overall, David put some numbers. I got to defend Big Dave. I got to defend him right now. All right. Hey, what do y'all think about Victor's comments regarding his chances for MVP? Gave out 3 reasons. We debated them right now. What do you think? Let Rudy know on X at Box Score Studio. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. And subscribe to Spurs in Focus on YouTube. Also, we now have it on iTunes, Spotify, Pocket Cast, YouTube Podcast. It's all there. Go get it. Go subscribe right now. And just keep on coming here to Spurs in Focus. You're only in first spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. All right. Spurs and Grizzlies get going tonight. Okay, Rudy, let's go ahead and look at the tail of the tape here. Let me bring up what it looks like the Spurs and Grizzlies tonight. By the way, again, Spurs are on a 6-game winning streak. They did drop the last meeting versus Memphis, although the Spurs are 2-1 overall versus the Grizzlies this season. All right, there it is, Rudy, the tail of the tape. What stands out for you?
Oh man, how dominant the Spurs are, with the exception of the minimal free throw percentage by Memphis. But outside of that, I mean, then you just look at everything. The Spurs are pretty dominant. There's really, again, no reason why they shouldn't beat a depleted Memphis Grizzly team. If I had to just kind of, pinpoint one thing, Memphis obviously gets a tad bit one more steal per game than San Antonio. They rank in the top 10 that they are number 10 right now. But outside of that, I mean, they have a good amount of young talent, but it's not a game that I feel the Spurs should be in any danger of, losing. I think last time we talked, I said, a game would be over by halftime.
Right.
I think this is a game that's not over by halftime, but it's going to go into the fourth quarter, and it's going to be a decent game, a good game for both teams. It's going to be one the Spurs are going to have to pull out in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's just a game that they should just keep trucking on till the end of the season to get to the postseason.
Yeah, if there's one thing maybe the Spurs could be mindful about is that Memphis is actually 9th in the NBA in assists per game at 19.2. So they share the ball. But outside of that, I mean, that's the only thing that concerns me. If Memphis gets that ball going and they get contributions from everybody because they're facilitating. But outside of that, it should be another cruise control, a formality of a game. All right, let's get to the fourth quarter and get the Spurs the win. You look at the numbers here, everybody. Y'all can see it on your screen. Points per game, Spurs with a lopsided, advantage there. Defensive, numbers, opponent points per game. Again, the Spurs with a lopsided advantage. Spurs are 7th, holding teams to about a 111.7. Grizzlies 23rd in the NBA. It's near the bottom, allowing 119. And the list goes on and on. The Spurs field goal percentage are better 6th in the NBA, while the Grizzlies are 25th in the NBA. I mean, look, Grizzlies, you need incentive. Lose it, because y'all got to get those ping pong balls up higher and higher, and get that tank going around. I mean, why do you want to lose to the Spurs? I mean, beat the Spurs. Come on.
Yeah, this is going to be a game where I think Memphis understands, hey, you're in the last 10, 11 games of the season. Yeah. You're trying to get those ping pong balls, and let's not forget, I mean, Ja Morant's going to be gone in the offseason. They're going to trade him away, so it's rebuild time in Memphis. There's no reason to win any more games. You've got a loaded, absolutely stacked draft coming up this year. So, yeah, I think Memphis is going to keep it competitive because Adam Silver needs it to be competitive also fourth quarter.
Look at that turnovers, too. Again, the Memphis Grizzlies, 22nd in the NBA. They caught the ball out at 15 a game. So there's a lot of gimmies there for the Spurs. Man, times have changed. Remember, it was the Grizzlies that gave the Spurs fits for years and years and years, bounced them out of the playoffs, and now is what it's come to, a rebuilding situation in Memphis.
Wasn't it the first time, or they were the 8th seed and the Spurs were 1st seed? And the Grizzlies beat the Spurs in that first round?
First round upset, yeah.
Yeah, the Grizzlies used to always have the Spurs number. That was back with Zach Randolph, and Marc Gasol was a Grizzly at the time. So, yeah, they really challenged the Spurs a lot. And, I mean, go to the 3 games they played already, Jeff. It's not been a blowout by any means. I mean, the Spurs won by the first game by 10 points. That game by 7, and then they lost by 1. So all the games have been very competitive, and that's kind of why I say it's going to be a fourth quarter game for the San Antonio Spurs to try to get this victory out.
Yeah, I think it'll be a halftime game for the Spurs to get the win. This Spurs team is on a mission. They want to pick up as many W's as you can. They want to see if they can get to 60. They already put it out there. Victor's put it out there. Coda's put it out there. You heard what Steph Castle had to say after the win versus Miami. He said there was other games that this team should have won. So I think they're going in with that mentality that you don't, take your foot off the gas pedal versus this sub 500 team. So yeah, I got the Spurs taking control of things. Going into half. I think it'll be competitive, and then Spurs just do what they've been doing, just blowing out teams left and right of late. Hey, real quick, keep your eye on the scoreboard, everybody. Memphis overall is 5-19 when they're trailing at halftime. So the Spurs are up at the half. Well, could be a long night for Memphis fans, not for Spurs fans. All right, there's your quick preview. Spurs-Grizzlies. What do y'all think about tonight's matchup? Let me and Rudy know on X at Jeff G Spurs on. Rudy's at Box Score Studio. Rudy, you want to get nerdy for a while?
Yeah, let's do it.
Nerd! All right, now it's time for your, I guess your segment out here where me and the guests, we get a little nerdy. If y'all saw last episode, we got nerdy with some Terrifier talk. We had Matt Guzman on, Rudy, and he's a big Terrifier fan. He loves Art the Clown. So we had a big discussion about that. But we're gonna get away from the horror genre and stick back to the science fiction genre. And Rudy, I gotta ask you, in the pantheon of starships that we've had, from Millennium Falcon, Starship Enterprise, to the X-Wing fighter, and to one of my personal favorites, I think he's slept on so many times. The last Starfighter, the Gunstar, I think that gets lost in the shuffle. If you had the keys to the car, or in this case, the Starship, what one set of keys would you pick up?
Wow, man, you have to put me on.
You don't have to pick from those examples.
No,
it could be anything.
Because you could even enter the Enterprise as another one that you could possibly do. Can I just say Boba Fett's ship was always I don't know if we're allowed to say what it's called anymore because they disbarred it from Star Wars, but I used to always be a big fan of Boba Fett's ship. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's really nothing compared to the Millennium Falcon. I mean, that's probably the ultimate one. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to get away from the Millennium Falcon and I'm going to say, give me the last Starship.
Yes. I agree with you.
That was probably the most underrated and overlooked starship. Not only that, being a big Darth Vader fan, I mean, the TIE fighter that Vader used was way different than everybody else. But definitely, Jeff, last Starfighter, I mean, I don't think anybody never wanted to command that ship. And what was the name of the one where it just blasted? It was something Rose, was it?
Death Blossom.
The Death Blossom. I mean, as many times as you and I would have probably vomited doing that thing, that was the most killer thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, Death Blossom was awesome. It was a one shot, literally just unloading of everything the ship has. If that was like your last resort move. It was also too, if you could take punishment. It was a 2-man crew. The navigator just navigated, the gunner just shot anything, and I think it really gets lost in the Starship talk. I really, really do, because aesthetically it looks awesome. It's small but mighty. It's chef kiss for me. But yeah, the Gunstar definitely is one. I was thinking about this too, and man, if I had to pick up the keys, I was torn between the Falcon. Part of me wants to say, and I think gets overlooked in the Star Trek universe, is the Defiant. That ship was small, but man, it was powerful. I think Worf commanded it. And they about it. They said, "Oh, this is a tiny ship," and he got offended. It was tiny, like that. It was like pretty much like their Rottweiler. It was like just a ship that could just go to any battle and just wreck shop. Oh man, this was tough.
So you're bringing up ships now. Would you consider this a ship? Would you consider one of the Lions from Voltron?
Yes, technically yes.
Because I mean, now I've got a player in here because I've always wanted to be a part of Voltron. I mean, that would be kind of cool, I think, if you're a part of Voltron. If you can conclude that, I might put that second for sure.
You know what I would put on the list too for me? The Vipers from Battlestar Galactica. The Vipers were pretty good. Yeah, the Vipers and the Cylon ships were pretty cool too. But man, you know what? Which ship am I gonna pick? I think I'm gonna pick the Falcon just because of the historic value.
You almost have to.
The iconic value of it. It's one of the fastest ships in the galaxy, as Han says. It can take a beating, hit light speed, all the modifications. And we forget, because of the movie Solo, it actually has the brain of Lando's robot that he had. So that brain pretty much navigates the Falcon. I think it's just iconic. You don't even have to put the name next to it. You can just like show a picture of it, and 8 out of 10 times people are gonna know that's it. You put the Gunstar, I think people are gonna struggle. Like, yeah, I know where that's from. I don't know. Maybe I put the Defiant. they'll recognize it because the USS Defiant, but they won't
Yeah.
know about it, So I just think because the iconic status that it's in, I gotta go the Falcon. But hey, you can't lose, man. You pick the Defiant, great. You pick a Viper, great. You pick the Enterprise, perfect.
What about a one of the those galactic battleships that they were basically a whole world upon a world? I mean, you're talking where all the Vader's commanders and everybody was.
Yeah.
I mean, those kinds of ships, those would be pretty cool. And I mean, I don't know, would you agree that the Enterprise looks like it's extremely tough to navigate and drive? Every time you try to see a turn,
I'd load.
it just kind of like
I'd load.
ever just a turn, man. I'm almost driving like an 18-wheeler. I think that would be the only down point from selecting the Enterprise at all.
Yeah. It's a big ship, man. It's huge. I always love it. I did like the what, I forget what movie it was in Star Trek where they actually showed how they build them, and they would orbit in Earth and they'll orbit it off planet.
Yeah,
and that's how they orbit. I thought that was pretty cool. But all in all, man, yeah, I mean, Rudy and I, we can nerd out on this topic all day long, but we got to stop. We're getting close to a little over 30 now. He is Mr. Rudy Campos. Let him know what you think about his takes on Victor and the MVP race. And of course, tonight's Spurs-Grizzlies game. Rudy, tell us what's going on at Sports Answer Box Score.
Yeah, so Box Score Studio, you can go to Box Score Studio or Box Score TV on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Also, you can go to Answer Now TV, so you can get the subscribe on there. You can get the Sports Answer that comes to you every single Sunday. We're going to start doing a drive home show on Fridays, too. That'll be about an hour. So, again, I know you got local radio, you've got a lot of satellite radio, but hey, just click that podcast link. That way you can get some podcast talk over on Sports Answer on Fridays and then on Sundays as well. But yeah, you'll see Jeff, you'll see a bunch of people on there as well. So talk sports, playoffs coming up, March Madness continuing, a lot of NFL stuff going on, MLB ready to seasons get ready to kick off for MLB too. So tons of stuff going on.
Absolutely. And again, said you may start seeing this episode of, all episodes of perhaps of Spurs in Focus on the Sports Answer soon. We'll definitely keep you posted on that. Rudy, as always, thank you for coming on here and chatting all things San Antonio Spurs and a little nerd talk as well. Everybody else, we thank y'all for making Spurs in Focus your first and only spot for all things silver and black. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget your favorite podcasts such as Apple iTunes, Spotify, and see what else, Pocket Cast, YouTube Podcasts. And don't forget to check out the Substack, spursinfocus.substack.com. It's completely free, everybody. You don't have to pay a penny. Just go hit subscribe and you're good to go. Easy as that. Go subscribe right now. I believe we'll be back on Friday to talk all things San Antonio Spurs as the regular season is winding down. So for Mr. Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia, and now you're in focus with Spurs in Focus.